by playing a more of a run-heavy ball control type offense. A lot of quick throws, a lot of first downs that they're not really going for the big play that we usually do with whenever we do have Joe Flacco. And it gives a chance for the defenses to remain fresh. So I like what I'm seeing with that. And I'm thinking that we should stick with the kid throughout the rest of the season and see if he can lead us to the playoffs. So we'll see how that works. But for this game here, going into Arrowhead to play Kansas City, I don't really think that we're going to come out with a victory. I do think it's going to be a hard-fought battle. Everybody's writing us off. Right now I think the last time I looked at the line, we're 6.5-point underdogs, which, you got a great defense like that. And defense travels. Anybody that watch football know that defense travels. So we'll see how that works out. Ultimately, I think Kansas City is going to be a little bit too much. I think it's a little bit too much offensive firepower. I think the only chance that the Ravens will have is if they can hold the Kansas City Chiefs to, under 3 touchdowns or less. Keep them to 21 points, and we'll be able to score, 21 to 24, get a couple of field goals in there maybe. Then I think we got a shot. But if we let Patrick Mahomes go crazy and they get over 30 points, then I don't think Lamar Jackson has enough to bounce back and win that game for us. He still has to develop as a thrower. So we will see. We'll see if they can continue the ball control offense. We'll see if the defense can still step up and make some timely plays and maybe get a couple of turnovers here and there. So, but that is a huge game. The Ravens definitely need that one to try to keep track on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who play the Oakland Raiders today, and in Oakland. That's the 4:25 game Eastern time. So we'll see how that works out. But ultimately, I think the Chiefs are going to win that one there. They're still trying to keep the Chargers off of their tail, have a game lead on them, and they play the Cincinnati Bengals. So most likely the Chargers are going to win that game. I think the Chiefs are going to win, and then that's going to be that. Another game that I wanted to touch on, and another team that I wanted to touch on, is actually the Houston Texans. So as I stated a couple of minutes ago, the Houston Texans are currently 9-3, and they started off this season 0-3, and it was looking like a wash, but then turned it around, and now are fucking 9-3, and looking like one of the best teams in the AFC right now. Deshaun Watson definitely has them boys balling right now. The pickup of Demaryius Thomas, the trade from the Denver Broncos to pick up Demaryius Thomas, one of the more underrated trades in my opinion, and has definitely given one of the better receivers in the league, Hopkins, a running mate after Will Fuller had went down, and also gives another target to Deshaun Watson, who's having an excellent season, who currently has over 3,000 yards passing and 21 touchdowns. And right now, the Houston Texans, that's one of those teams that I don't see why more people are not talking about them as title contenders, because they legit have one of those teams where they can beat you at all 3 phases of the game. Their offenses, when it's clicking, is one of the better offenses in the league. They can literally beat you throwing the ball, running the ball with Lamar Miller. He's having a good season. And then their defense. When you got J.J. Watt, who's still one of the top 5 defensive players in the league and one of the greatest defensive players of all time, Jadeveon Clowney, like, they ball out. The Houston Texans is one of those teams that I think more people need to start discussing, need to pay more attention to. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and made a run. And when they get into the postseason, to be at that AFC title game and eventually be repping the AFC in the Super Bowl. So definitely, they play Indianapolis, who are still keeping their playoff hopes alive. That was a terrible loss that they took last week to Jacksonville, where they lost 0-6, got shut out. The great Andrew Luck got shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, but They still have hope. They're still fighting for that 6th playoff spot right now, which is being held by Baltimore, and actually Tennessee is ahead of them as well right now with their big victory, with their dominating victory over Jacksonville. So we'll see how that goes there. But I think Houston's going to win that game, and ultimately I think that kind of puts the final nail in the coffin for Indy, unless. Actually, I can't really say that because if Baltimore loses and then Indy loses, they still got a chance, and then Tennessee's there as well. So we'll see what happens with that one there. But that's one other game that I think we need to pay attention to. And the Houston Texans, that's one team that I think everybody needs to start focusing more on and giving them more respect. Of course, the San Diego Chargers, they play the Bengals. I expect them to dominate that game there. So. And then the Chargers, everybody's on their jack right now. Everybody's picking. That's like literally almost everybody's Super Bowl favorites, especially right now with what went on with Kansas City. And, New England, they're always there. Tom Brady, Tom Terrific, Bill Belichick. More than likely, they'll probably reach the AFC Championship again. So, home field advantage ever sit. Actually, it's going to be pretty interesting with that team there. So, like the Patriots, more than likely, that every year they make it to the AFC Championship, 6-0 at home, and then they're going to get a home playoff game, and then they're going to win that game there. So, it's going to be interesting to see if they get a first round bye over the Texans or the Chargers or the Chiefs, whoever because if they have to play that extra game in that wild card round, that wild card round. And then go to the divisional round and then go to the championship. Usually it's just, they win 12, 13 games. They get the first round bye. They play one home playoff game in which they usually dominate it. And then boom, they got another AFC championship they're hosting. So, it's going to be interesting down the stretch to see how that plays out. All right. Now on for the other games there, I touched on a lot of AFC games. In the NFC, we have, really, 3 big games. So the first one that I want to touch on is going to be Philadelphia versus the Dallas Cowboys. And right now, this has huge playoff implications. So Dallas beat the Eagles the first game that they played in, and this is going to be round 2 of that matchup there. So pretty much with this one here, this is pretty much going to be for the division. The division is really coming down to these 2 teams. The Washington Redskins for the longest was leading the division, and then after the Alex Smith injury, and then now Colt McCoy pretty much with the same, well, not the same injury, but he has a fracture in his leg. You can pretty much count them out. Like they're not going to be doing nothing. They played last week and they scored. Adrian Peterson scored that touchdown. It's a 90-something yard touchdown against the Eagles, and then after that they shut down. So they lost to the Eagles 28-13 last week. Dallas last week they played, and Dallas last week put on a impressive performance against the New Orleans Saints, who was the number 1 team in the NFL for a while, and might still be. He still might be the most complete team in the NFL, but very impressive performance to be able to stop that high-powered offense and beat them in a 10-13 slugfest. Pretty much, they show me something. Dallas defense is for real. Dallas defense right now is ranked 4th in total overall yardage and 2nd in points behind the Baltimore Ravens, giving up 18.6 points per game. So right now, the Dallas Cowboys, I said it last week that I feel like they are right now the division leaders in that, and I feel like they definitely have the upper hand in that division. It's going to be interesting to see because I like Philadelphia. I'm not I enjoy watching Philadelphia play. We went to Philly this year for Nick's our yearly trip, and that's Nick's team. And the game's in Dallas. And I talked to Nick about it and a couple of 2 days ago, and I asked him how he felt about it, and he said he felt better about going on the road and playing in Dallas and playing in warm weather climate in that dome where the Eagles' running game has been suspect, to say the least, and they're more of a passing offense. So being able to play in not cold weather like in Philly, because right now it's brick in Philly. And to be able to play in that dome atmosphere is definitely going to help them out. Dallas got the home field advantage, but that definitely helps out the defense and as well as the offense as well. So we'll see how that plays out. I think ultimately, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game. The Eagles over the last couple of weeks haven't been putting on a good offensive performance in the games that they have been in. Like they barely escaped the New York Giants. They definitely should have lost that game. And then the game before that was against the Cowboys, in which they lost. So I think the Cowboys are going to win this game here, and they move forward and kind of put a clamp on that division there. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles did pull it off and win that game. I really wouldn't be surprised to see that happen as well. So we shall see what happens, but that's one game I'm definitely going to be tuning into or, keeping tabs on at the very least. And then the other two games is the Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Chicago has been one of those surprise teams where I don't know about you guys, but I did not expect this. Right now they're 8-4. They're winning that division, and a couple of podcasts ago we was picking the division winners, and I had told Dave that Chicago's going to win that division. Man, that's the best team in that division. Their defense is crazy. They're leading the league in turnovers right now, and not only that, they get turnovers, they also score off of their turnovers. So they're able to flip the field just like that and flip the game. Literally, it'd be 14-point swings where offense might be driving. They get an interception, they take it back for a touchdown. They get a fumble recovery, they take it back for a touchdown. And that's literally a 14-point swing right there. Or a 7-point swing right there, excuse me. So Chicago right now is playing very good ball. And, Los Angeles Rams right now, if they win this game, they can go ahead and clinch a first-round bye. 11-1, they've been dominating all season. Only losses to the New Orleans Saints, who also been dominating. So very interesting game. I'm kind of interested to see how the Los Angeles Rams performs in Chicago on Soldier Field. Right now it's December and that wind chill's coming down and it's brick. So the hits definitely are going to hurt more. And like I said, I'm going to see how Jared Goff, California quarterback, I want to see how he handles that climate. Excuse me. And it should be pretty interesting. I'm ultimately, to give my pick on it, I think I want to pick the Bears. I really do. I really like the Bears. I want to see them win this game. I want to see them kind of just go ahead and lock that division up. Trubisky's back. He's going to be playing in this game, and he might be a little bit hurt. So that's definitely going to play a key factor, especially going against that Rams front four where Aaron Donald, who is the best defensive player in the league right now and one of the greatest defensive tackles of all time. And then you got, you got Ndamukong Suh, you got the pass rusher they picked up from Jacksonville and Fowler. And then that secondary has been playing very well too. So, I still think the Rams and Todd Gurley, he's having an MVP season. Jared Goff, he's balling the hell out. So I think the Rams are going to win this game. I got the score along the lines of 28-17. They get like a late touchdown to kind of seal it. But like I said, I would like to see Chicago win. I'm rooting for Chicago. But I think the Rams are definitely going to win. All right, and then the last game that I do want to touch on is going to be the Monday Nighter, which is Minnesota versus Seattle. And right now, that game, they're pretty much playing for a wild card spot, both of them, Minnesota and Seattle. Right now, Seattle is 7-5, Minnesota is 6-5-1, and they are both kind of nipping at that sixth and final playoff spot for the wild card. So it's really coming down between a lot of teams. Like you have the Eagles, you have the Cowboys, whoever wins that division. And the Redskins are in it too, technically, but they got Sanchez as their quarterback, so I don't think that's happening. You have the Seahawks, who are 7-5. You have the Vikings, 6-5-1, and then you also have Carolina, who's technically still in it at 6-6. So they'll definitely need a big win. So This has a lot of playoff implications in my opinion. And right now, the Seahawks, Russell Wilson has that team going. They are looking solid.